Have you ever wondered why something as simple as bread leaves you feeling bloated, tired, or just off? Especially after 60, our bodies react differently, even to foods we've eaten for decades without a second thought. I'm Dr. Justin Keller. I've spent years working with older adults, and I can tell you, bread is one of the most overlooked causes of rising blood sugar, joint stiffness, gut issues, and that constant sluggish feeling many people assume is just part of aging. It's not. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the 4 worst breads you should avoid at all costs, even the ones that look healthy on the label, and the 4 breads you should be eating instead to support your digestion, energy, memory, and even your heart. I'll show you how to read a bread label like a doctor, so you never get fooled at the grocery store again. And I'll leave you with one small, practical bread habit that could help support your blood sugar and brain health every single day. Stick with me until the end. The first habit I'll share is one I've seen make the biggest difference in my own patients' lives. It's simple, it's powerful, and most people get it wrong. Before we dive in, do me one small favor. Type the city you're watching from in the comments. I love seeing where everyone's tuning in from. And if you find this helpful, please like this video and subscribe to GlowingAge. That helps me keep creating these important lessons to support your health and independence. Let's get started. The hidden problem with bread after 60. Have you ever noticed how a simple sandwich doesn't sit the same way it used to? You're not imagining it. Bread, especially the kind most of us grew up eating, can become a hidden health trap as we get older. I'm Dr. Justin Keller, and I've worked with thousands of patients over 60. One common pattern I've seen again and again is fatigue, bloating, joint pain, even brain fog, all linked to what seems like an innocent slice of bread. The problem isn't that bread itself is evil. It's that your body at this stage of life is no longer processing it the same way. Let me explain. As we age, several things shift internally. Our insulin sensitivity decreases, meaning our bodies don't handle blood sugar spikes as effectively. Many common breads, especially white, processed, and so-called wheat breads, are rapidly digested carbohydrates. They convert to sugar in the bloodstream faster than a candy bar. That quick spike followed by a crash isn't just exhausting. It quietly contributes to type 2 diabetes, weight gain around the midsection, and chronic inflammation. Here's something else we don't often talk about. Our gut changes with age. The enzyme levels that help digest gluten and starches decline. Our gut lining becomes more vulnerable to irritation. That's why something like toast, which once felt comforting, might now leave you feeling bloated or sluggish. This isn't your fault, it's biology. There's also the issue of fiber, or rather, the lack of it. Most commercial breads are stripped of their natural fiber. Without it, digestion slows, constipation becomes more frequent, and fiber isn't just for regularity. It also helps regulate blood sugar, support heart health, and feed beneficial gut bacteria, your first line of defense against inflammation and even cognitive decline. Now, consider this. A 2022 meta-analysis published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that high intake of refined grains was linked to higher mortality in older adults, particularly from cardiovascular causes. In contrast, true whole grains were associated with longer life and lower disease risk. That's a massive difference in outcome, all based on the bread you choose each day. Another concern, additives. Many shelf-stable breads are loaded with preservatives, emulsifiers, and even hidden sugars. These compounds may not cause issues when you're young, but over time they accumulate. For aging bodies already battling inflammation, they add fuel to the fire. I've had patients who came in complaining about constant fatigue, thinking it was just part of aging. But once we adjusted their diet, often starting with removing highly processed breads, they reported clearer thinking, more energy, even better sleep within weeks. Not because of a miracle, because their body wasn't fighting every meal. If you're over 60, it's time to stop thinking of bread as just a filler food. It's either helping you or hurting you. And what worked for your body at 30 may now be quietly working against it. The goal here isn't to scare you away from bread entirely. It's to help you recognize the quiet shifts happening in your body so you can make better choices. And trust me, when you find the right kinds of bread, your digestion, energy, and even mood can all improve. And those better choices, I'll walk you through them shortly. 4 worst breads that quietly harm your health. Let's talk about specifics. Because not all breads are created equal, and some are quietly undermining your health every single day. I've seen it over and over in my patients. You feel tired, bloated, inflamed, and you can't quite put your finger on why. Often, it's right there in your bread box. Let's break down the top 4 offenders that I recommend my patients over 60 avoid completely. Bread number 1, white sandwich bread. This is the most common bread in the American diet, and unfortunately, one of the most damaging for older adults. White bread is made from highly refined flour. That means all the fiber, germ, and essential nutrients have been stripped out. What's left is basically starch, which converts into sugar in your bloodstream almost instantly. That spike in blood sugar causes an insulin surge. Over time, this leads to insulin resistance, a key factor in type 2 diabetes and belly fat accumulation. And for seniors, whose metabolic rate naturally slows, this sugar roller coaster leads to increased fatigue, brain fog, and inflammation. It's a perfect storm for chronic conditions. Worse, white bread is often loaded with preservatives, dough conditioners, and artificial flavors, all of which your liver and kidneys have to process, adding more stress to aging organs. Bread number 2, flavored or sweetened breads like honey wheat or cinnamon raisin. These may sound wholesome. After all, they contain wheat, raisins, or even oats, but read the ingredient list. Most of these breads are packed with added sugars. That honey is often just high-fructose corn syrup under a friendlier name. And cinnamon usually comes with a hefty side of cane sugar and preservatives. Sweetened breads wreak havoc on blood glucose, especially in older adults. They also promote triglyceride buildup, which increases the risk of heart disease, still the leading cause of death in people over 65. You might think you're making a heart-healthy choice, but these breads are dessert in disguise. Bread number 3, fake whole wheat breads. Here's where a lot of people get tricked. The label says wheat bread, so it must be good for you, right? Not necessarily. Many commercial wheat breads are made with refined white flour and just a splash of whole wheat, or worse, colored with molasses or caramel to look healthier. These breads behave almost identically to white bread in the body. They spike blood sugar, provide minimal fiber, and offer no real nutritional value. To protect yourself, always check the ingredient list. The very first word should be 100% whole wheat or whole grain. If it says enriched flour or wheat flour without whole, that's your red flag. Bread number 4, gluten-free breads made with refined starches. This one surprises a lot of people. Gluten-free doesn't automatically mean healthy. In fact, many gluten-free breads are made with high glycemic starches like rice flour, tapioca starch, or potato starch. These ingredients break down into sugar very quickly, spiking blood sugar and offering little to no fiber. For seniors without celiac disease or a diagnosed gluten intolerance, switching to these breads can actually do more harm than good. You're removing gluten, yes, but you're also losing out on the beneficial fiber and protein found in healthier whole grains. And unfortunately, you're replacing it with starches that age the body faster. These breads don't scream danger. They don't come with warning labels. But over time, they sap your energy, cloud your mind, and burden your body in ways you may not even notice until it's too late. If any of these are part of your daily routine, I encourage you to take a closer look. Sometimes the first step toward feeling better isn't a medication. It's simply a better choice on your plate. Next, let's look at the breads that do support your health, ones that nourish your body instead of working against it. You'll be surprised by how good they can taste and how much better you can feel. Why these breads make aging harder. It's easy to overlook bread as a source of discomfort or decline. After all, it's familiar, comforting, part of your breakfast, your lunch, sometimes even your dinner. But once we hit our 60s and beyond, the body starts sending signals it never sent before. And many of those signals are tied to inflammation, fatigue, blood sugar instability, and digestive strain, all of which can be made worse by the wrong kind of bread. Let me break it down from a medical standpoint. When you eat refined or processed bread, like white sandwich bread, sweetened varieties, or most gluten-free options made with starch, you're consuming carbohydrates that have been stripped of their natural fiber and nutrients. Your body digests them rapidly, turning them into glucose. That causes a sharp spike in your blood sugar, followed by a rapid drop. This rise and crash isn't just a minor inconvenience. In older adults, it contributes to a cycle of unstable energy, irritability, and cravings. More seriously, it pushes the body toward insulin resistance. That's the early stage of type 2 diabetes, a condition that affects nearly 1 in 4 people over age 65. But the impact doesn't stop at blood sugar. When your blood sugar surges repeatedly, your body produces more insulin. Over time, high insulin levels promote inflammation, especially in your joints. If you're feeling stiffer in the mornings or more sore after meals, it's worth asking whether the bread you're eating might be part of the problem. Inflammation is one of the central drivers of aging-related disease. It's been linked not just to arthritis, but to Alzheimer's, heart disease, and even certain cancers. In medical research, we call this inflammaging, a state of chronic, low-grade inflammation that speeds up the biological aging process. And highly processed breads are known contributors. Now let's talk about the brain. Blood sugar instability affects cognitive function. I've had patients describe what they call senior moments, forgetting words, losing track of thoughts, struggling to focus. But often when we improve their diets, starting with eliminating refined breads, these symptoms improve. It's not magic, it's metabolism. There's also a lesser-known factor, gut health. As you age, your gut lining becomes more sensitive. The helpful bacteria in your digestive system, the ones that support immunity, mood, and nutrient absorption, start to decline. Refined and low-fiber breads don't feed these good bacteria. In fact, they feed the wrong ones, leading to bloating, poor digestion, and even compromised immunity. Remember, 70% of your immune system lives in your gut. When you eat low-quality bread, you're not just feeding yourself. You're feeding your microbiome. And if you're feeding it junk, it responds with inflammation, fatigue, and even a weakened ability to fight off illness. It might sound surprising that something as small as a slice of bread could trigger this kind of ripple effect. But for older adults, these foods no longer move through the system without consequences. Your body isn't failing you, it's adapting. It's asking for a little more support, a little more attention to the details. And bread, something so simple, so routine, is one of the most powerful details you can change. It's not about restriction or guilt. It's about knowing better and choosing better. And that starts with understanding what your body is really asking for. Next, I'll show you the breads that nourish your health instead of undermining it. Because you don't need to give up bread, you just need to upgrade it. 4 better breads that work with your body. Not against it now that we've talked about the kinds of bread that make aging harder. Let's shift to something more encouraging. You don't need to give up bread to protect your health. You just need to choose breads that actually support your body as it changes with age. The right breads can help regulate blood sugar, support digestion, reduce inflammation, and even improve brain function. Let me walk you through 4 breads I regularly recommend to my patients over 60, breads that work with your body, not against it. Bread number 1, sprouted grain bread. Like Ezekiel bread, sprouted grain bread is one of the best choices you can make. It's made from whole grains that have been allowed to sprout before being ground into flour. Why does that matter? Because sprouting breaks down some of the starch in the grain, making it easier to digest and lower on the glycemic index. That means a slower, steadier rise in blood sugar, not a sharp spike. Sprouted breads also tend to be higher in protein and fiber than traditional breads, and they retain more of the original grain's nutrients, like B vitamins, iron, and magnesium. These nutrients support energy, nervous system health, and muscle function, all of which are crucial as we age. Many of my patients say they feel more satisfied and energized after switching to sprouted grain bread. It keeps you full longer and supports metabolic health without the crash that follows more processed breads. Bread number 2, traditional whole rye or pumpernickel whole rye bread, especially traditional, dense varieties made without added sugar, is another excellent option. Rye is rich in soluble fiber, particularly a type called arabinoxylin, which has been shown to help improve blood sugar control and lower LDL cholesterol. It also digests more slowly than wheat bread, keeping you fuller for longer and helping to avoid that mid-afternoon energy crash. Plus, rye bread has a strong, hearty flavor, which helps satisfy cravings with smaller portions. Make sure to check the label. You want breads that list whole rye flour as the first ingredient. Avoid those that say light rye or contain caramel coloring. Traditional pumpernickel made from whole rye and baked slowly is even better. It's naturally low in sugar and has a unique, rich flavor many of my older patients learn to love. Bread number 3. Naturally fermented sourdough. Not all sourdoughs are created equal, but real, naturally fermented sourdough bread is a powerful food for aging bodies. The long fermentation process allows natural bacteria and yeast to break down much of the gluten and phytic acid in the flour. That makes it easier to digest, even for people who have mild gluten sensitivities. Fermented foods like sourdough also help support gut health. The natural lactobacilli in sourdough can improve the balance of bacteria in your digestive tract, which in turn strengthens your immune system and reduces inflammation. Sourdough has a lower glycemic impact compared to regular white or wheat bread, so it won't spike your blood sugar as quickly. It also tends to stay fresh longer without chemical preservatives. But be careful, many grocery store sourdoughs are just white bread with vinegar added for a sour flavor. Look for words like naturally fermented and check the ingredient list for simplicity: flour, water, salt, and starter. Bread number 4, multigrain or seeded bread. With no added sugar, the last option is a hearty whole-grain multigrain or seeded bread that's free of added sugars. Look for breads that contain ingredients like flaxseed, sunflower seeds, sesame seeds, and oats. These breads are rich in healthy fats, fiber, and plant-based protein, nutrients that protect your heart and brain. The seeds themselves offer anti-inflammatory benefits and support joint and bone health thanks to magnesium and omega-3 fats. They also add texture and flavor, which can make your meals more enjoyable without needing extra butter or spreads. Just make sure the bread isn't a multigrain in name only. Some brands sprinkle a few seeds on top of a refined flour loaf and call it multigrain. You want to see whole grains and seeds as the first ingredients, and sugar as absent or very minimal. Choosing these kinds of breads isn't about going on a diet or giving things up. It's about making small upgrades that protect your energy, your mind, and your independence. When my patients make this switch, they often report more stable moods, easier digestion, and a surprising lift in how they feel throughout the day. Bread can still be part of your life. In fact, with the right choices, it can even support the vibrant, healthy aging that we all deserve. How to read labels like a pro, so you're never fooled again. You've probably been there. Standing in the bread aisle, squinting at the packaging, trying to figure out what's actually healthy. With so many claims like whole grain, multigrain, natural, or light, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. But here's the truth: those labels are designed to sell, not to inform. And for those of us over 60, understanding what's really inside that bread is more important than ever. Here's how I teach my patients to cut through the noise and read labels like a pro, so you're never misled by clever marketing again. First rule: check the first ingredient. Always. The ingredient list is your best friend and your first line of defense. Ingredients are listed in order of quantity, so whatever's listed first is what makes up most of the bread. If the first ingredient isn't 100% whole wheat, whole rye, or another true whole grain, put it back on the shelf. If it says enriched wheat flour, or just flour, it's a refined grain. It may look brown and feel hearty, but it offers very little nutritional value and can still spike your blood sugar. Remember, wheat bread doesn't mean whole wheat. That's one of the most common tricks in the book. Second rule: look for fiber. At least 3 grams per slice fiber is non-negotiable after 60. It helps with digestion, blood sugar regulation, cholesterol, and even brain health. But many commercial breads have little to no fiber at all. As a general rule, look for at least 3 grams of fiber per slice. More is better. This tells you the bread is made from real whole grains, not just refined flour with a few grains tossed in for show. Also, check the total carbohydrate and sugar content. A good bread will have a reasonable carb count balanced with fiber, not just empty starch. Third rule: sugar should be low or absent sugar hides in a lot of breads, even the ones that look healthy. You'll often see it listed as cane sugar, honey, molasses, brown rice syrup, or even fruit juice concentrate. Try to choose breads with 0 to 2 grams of sugar per slice. Anything more than that, and you're edging into dessert territory. Remember, even small amounts of added sugar can disrupt blood sugar, especially when eaten frequently, and that adds up over time. Fourth rule. Short ingredient lists are best as a general rule. The simpler the ingredient list, the better. Your bread should contain real food, like whole grain flour, water, yeast, salt, and maybe seeds or natural sourdough starter. If you start seeing words like mono and diglycerides, DATEM, calcium propionate, or azidicarbonamide, these are chemical additives used to extend shelf life and texture. They aren't toxic in small amounts, but your body doesn't need them, especially not every day. If the list looks more like a science experiment than a recipe, move on. Fifth rule. Multigrain and 12-grain don't mean healthy. These terms are some of the biggest marketing traps. Multigrain just means multiple grains were used, not that they're whole or healthy or even present in meaningful amounts. Same with 7-grain or 12-grain. It sounds impressive, but if those grains are refined, they offer none of the fiber or benefits of whole grains. Always go back to the ingredient list. If those grains aren't whole, they're not helping your body. Bonus tip, trust the numbers over the buzzwords. Don't let the front of the package make the decision for you. Ignore claims like heart healthy, good source of fiber, or gluten-free unless the numbers and ingredients back them up. Marketers know that older consumers are looking for healthy choices, and they use that to their advantage. But numbers don't lie. Ingredients don't lie. Learn to read past the slogans, and you'll have more power over your health than most people realize. Label reading may seem tedious at first, but once you get the hang of it, it becomes second nature. And when you start choosing breads that actually nourish your body, fiber-rich, low-sugar, made from whole grains, you'll begin to feel the difference. Your digestion, energy, blood sugar, even your mood, they all respond to the choices you make at the grocery store. And the best part? You're in control of those choices every single day. Next, I'll share a simple daily habit I recommend to my patients that not only makes bread healthier, but helps you enjoy it with confidence and joy. One small bread habit that supports longevity. When people ask me, "Dr. Keller, do I really have to give up bread to stay healthy in my 60s and beyond?" My answer is always the same: no. But how you eat bread matters just as much as what kind you choose. There's one simple habit I encourage all of my patients to adopt. It's not a drastic change. It doesn't require giving anything up. And yet it supports blood sugar control, heart health, and even cognitive longevity. Here it is. Pair your bread with healthy fat and protein every single time. Let me explain why this works. When you eat bread, especially even the best whole grain options, by itself, your body absorbs the carbohydrates quickly. That causes a spike in your blood sugar, followed by a drop. But when you combine that bread with healthy fat and a source of protein, you slow down digestion. That keeps your blood sugar stable, your energy level steady, and your hunger in check. This is especially important as we age. After 60, our insulin sensitivity naturally decreases. That means our body has a harder time handling quick surges in sugar. But if you add a little almond butter to your slice of sprouted grain bread, or top it with half an avocado and a poached egg, suddenly that same slice becomes a complete balanced meal, not just a blood sugar bomb. I've seen this work wonders for patients. One gentleman in his early 70s came to me with erratic energy, poor sleep, and borderline diabetes. He was eating what he thought was a healthy breakfast, just a slice of whole wheat toast and coffee. No protein, no fat. We made one small change, switching to a seeded rye bread and adding a slice of smoked salmon with olive oil drizzle in the morning. Within 3 weeks, his blood sugar stabilized, his energy improved, and his morning hunger disappeared. This habit does more than protect your metabolism. Healthy fats, like those in nuts, seeds, avocado, and olive oil, support brain health. They help your body absorb fat-soluble vitamins like D, E, and K, all of which are essential for immune function and cognitive clarity. In fact, a recent study in neurology showed that older adults who consumed more monounsaturated fats had better memory and attention over time. Protein, meanwhile, helps preserve muscle mass, which is critical as we age. Pairing protein with bread not only balances your meal, it supports strength, mobility, and independence. Here are a few simple pairings I often suggest. Sprouted grain toast with almond butter and chia seeds, rye bread with cottage cheese, and sliced tomatoes sourdough topped with mashed avocado and hemp seeds, multigrain toast with egg salad and arugula. And here's the key. Eat it slowly, take a moment, sit down, chew mindfully. Eating quickly spikes blood sugar more than a relaxed, paced meal. The body digests better when you're not rushed or distracted. It's not just about nutrients. It's about rhythm, about giving your body the respect it deserves. So yes, bread can absolutely be part of a long, healthy life. But it's not just what's on your plate, it's how you combine it, how you approach it, and how you care for your body with every small choice. These tiny shifts, what you spread, what you pair, how you chew, these are the foundations of longevity. You don't need extremes. You need consistency and a little wisdom behind each bite. And that's something we all carry more of with age. You don't need to cut out bread. You just need to choose it with care. What we've covered today, avoiding the worst breads, choosing the right ones, understanding labels, and building one smart daily habit. These are the small steps that protect your energy, your mind, and your quality of life as you age. I've seen patients make just one of these changes and start sleeping better, moving easier, and thinking more clearly. That's the power of simple choices made with the right information. If this helped you, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to GlowingAge. It means a lot to me, and it helps more people like you find content that supports them in this next chapter of life. And don't forget, drop your city in the comments. Let's show how far this community reaches. Stay strong, stay sharp, and most of all, stay glowing.